had a mentor tell me they're not haters, they're celebrators. They're just celebrating it a little differently.
Look at Mr. Beast. All of his friends are in his content. Everyone around him is content 24/7.
If you've got through 80% of the work and it looks good, post a damn video.
I don't have fuck you money goals. I have fuck you moods goals.
My social media team probably did 40 to 50 hours of studying before we sat down to shoot a single video.
If you have the right niche, the right community, if you could have someone who has $2-5 million.
Cassandra, we've talked about influence. Now let's talk about my favorite part of this entire situation, and that is the business of influence. When did you know that it was time to go full-time as a creator?
Sarah, I don't think I ever knew if it was full-time to go as a creator. You ever feel fully confident quitting your job, dropping out of school, leaving all the things behind, switching up your entire life?
Absolutely not. As the boy single mom with two and move across country? Hell no.
If someone knows it, you know it, right? And that's why I'm attracted to you and your community. She gets it. She's speaking my language. I don't think I ever felt ready. But you have to do everything when you're not ready. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Would you rather do something 100% and get it done perfectly, but you're 5 years late and you missed the boat? Get ready for 5 hours and you miss the event? Or would you rather say, you know what? Right, my skin doesn't look perfect. My dress doesn't fit just right. This project is only 80% done, but I'm doing it with dignity. I'm doing it correctly. I'm checking my sources. I'm not putting out misinformation. Let's get it done. I don't look great. I don't feel my best. Let's just do it anyways.
That's at least 3-4
That's you
videos every week.
And that's you waking up and being a mom and saying, I'm going to do my best, even though it's not perfect. It's me waking up and saying, I'm going to get on stage, even though I forget my lines sometimes, or I mess up my words. It's me saying, my hair is greasy and my skin doesn't look just right. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, people really don't give a shit. No. People care about their own sense of community, belonging, how they integrate to the world. You're judging yourself way harder than others are. And again, is it better to get it out there and get that feedback and improve and make progress? Yeah. Or would you rather stay stuck and idle, try to perfect something that might miss the mark?
One of the things that I say, and I've been saying this for forever, and I remember saying this to my sister more than 30 years ago, it's still something that I continue to say, and I put it in my threads everywhere. Perfection isn't profitable. It leads to, people paralyze. It won't allow you to move forward. If you've got through 80% of the work and it looks good, post a damn video.
Are you planning or are you doing?
The amount of people who plan and don't do blows my mind. Or you're editing and editing and editing and editing. Sis, post the damn content. The only way to get better at something is to continue to do it over and over again. And I know even for me, there are episodes that may not have done well. But for me, they were so impactful because it led to my growth. It's allowing me to practice until I get to where I'm aspiring to be, until I reach the pinnacle, whatever that looks like. But I can't improve and get better at, I want to be a host, but I don't want to host. I want to be an author, but I don't want to write.
I want to be an influencer.
I want to be an influencer
on this platform, but I don't like to write articles or to research.
It's asinine.
Wait, I'm making out with this.
We're learning. It's progress. Progress, not perfection. We got to kiss a few frogs in order to get into our Fritz. It's okay. So, and then the other thing that I think about is people will create in order to monetize, but your audience knows. People don't want to be sold. We're being sold all day long. We've got commercials and TikTok Shop and Instagram and whatever, and everything is being shopped to us. Why is it a dangerous mindset to have that, I just want to monetize. I want to get to YouTube so that I can monetize. I want to get to whatever so I can monetize. But for what?
This is a conversation that I had with Mark Rober. He's an amazing content creator. He only produces 12 videos a year. And we were at an event and talking about things, and someone was asking him, wow, you do more than 12. If you hired more editors, if you did more things, you could earn more money. Why don't you make better merch? Your crunch thoughts, you could do so many things. And Mark looks at him and he says, what is it? It means to an end. He has an autistic child as well. What is it? It means to an end. Is he leaving a legacy for his child, for kids who want to learn engineering and all? And I heard that years ago, and it was kind of profound to me. What good is money? What good is fame? What good is all this stuff that people chase? And why are we chasing it? There's a book called The Monk Who Bought a Ferrari. Why do we want that? What is it going to give us that we don't have? And for some people, that Ferrari is an investment. They can use it to advertise. They can take a Ferrari to a car shop, and the car dealer will let them create YouTube videos about their other luxury cars for certain people. That makes sense, sure. But ask yourself, why does this monetization pattern? And there's plenty of ways to make money. Not all of them are edible. Some of them are great. Some of them are fantastic. Some of them take really hard work. And money is a resource. And often, the resources that we all chase are very difficult to get. So you have to put in the work or be in that upper echelon or, bust yourself to get there and almost burn out to get there. It's not pretty, but the advice to someone who says, I want to monetize this, again, get to the core reason why. Because if you wake up and if you don't have purpose, it's just all about money. What happens when that dries up? What happens when it's not working? But when you have a child that you care about, and you have a business that you care about, when you have a mission that you care about, and that business or that influence is a vehicle to allow you to get there, it doesn't matter what obstacles are in your way, you're not going to let it go. And I think that's what's so important for people to remember. And of course, I can only speak from my perspective, but for me, the passion is on entertaining, educating, and empowering anyone. And then non-binary friends, but mainly young women who've been told all their lives that their bodies are water or skin's wrong, and helping them see that they have knowledge, insight, stories, things to share with the world, that if they're spending 2 hours getting ready every morning in the mirror, they're not there sharing that story and helping other people who are in their shoes. And for me, that passion, that drive, that wanting and willingness to connect with other people and amplify their stories is so deep. It empowers the need to monetize or be famous or to show up at this event. And all those other things, they're sparkly, they're fun, but they're just byproducts of the right beat down. Think about any successful business. Is the business successful because it says, I want to monetize? Amazon is Amazon because they provide value. Apple is Apple. The Fortune 500s are the Fortune 500s because they have a vision. They filled a space, a blue ocean opportunity here. And they continue with that mission, and other people buy into it, and it's convenient that money's a byproduct. So of course there are business things that you can't apply to it, but influence should have purpose.
I think about the folks who come to me, they say, I want to monetize. And I ask them, how many hours a week do they prepare to host a day? How many hours are you willing to dedicate to the research it requires, to the continual learning? I don't think people realize we don't just show up, especially for something like Influence to Equity. This is a business, entrepreneurship, and influence podcast. So I have to know what's trending in this. I have to know what's happening in the creator economy. I have to know what's happening in Nika. I have to know what's trending sounds. I have to know what are people watching that are in Gen Alpha, Gen Z, millennials. I need to know what my peers are doing, and even in niches that are not my own. This isn't a monthly thing every 6 months. We are consistently studying, consistently educating ourselves. I spend almost 20 hours a week just prepping. Like today was shoot day for my content day. I spent 20 hours before shooting today. My social media team probably did 40 to 50 hours of studying before we sat down to shoot a single video. Our captions are prepared ahead of time. We're storyboarding to make sure that the content is relatable to me, and being okay knowing that some of the content is going to land flat with some of my audience, but it's so authentic to me and to the community, the inner core of my community, that I'm going to post it anyway. How many hours do you spend studying before you post a single video or before you talk about a specific? Did you imagine if you got on Beyonce's internet and didn't study an ingredient and go on there, the debacle that would be?
Absolutely, Sarah. And this goes back to what kind of influence do you want to have? Do you want that influence that's small and impactful ripples, or do you want that influence that's far-reaching? If you want that far-reaching influence, you have to do the work that's going to make it reach far, that's going to make it perform like that. You have to know the algorithms, what's changing in them, what's trending, what your core audience cares about, what you care about. It is work. And something that a friend was talking to me about, she works a job outside of social media, and she was complaining to her husband. She's like, I don't know why I can't do this. Like, why is this so difficult? Blah, blah, blah. And her husband said to her, look at Cassandra. She lives, breathes, eats, talks skincare in this industry. Look at Mr. Beast. All of his friends are in his content. Everyone around him is content 24/7. If you want to be the upper echelon of something, if you want to be the top 0.01%, there's a reason that that person is the top 0.01%. There's a reason you are the top 0.01%. It's because to get there, you have to do the things that the rest of the 99.999% won't do. And that's why it's so important to know your goals and what influence you want. Because if you want to dedicate your life to this, like these people that I'm trying to date or trying to be romantic with, like, it has to be in my industry. Because otherwise they don't get it. Or otherwise I have to say, I'm going to take a step back from this and I'm going to be okay with having a life personally that is different than my professional. I show up and people say, you're the same person online. I can't help it. That's who I am. That's what I do. All of my friends are in this industry, and I have met some of my best friends in the past 15 years who did this. But that's not for everyone. And that's where you have to ask yourself, you have influence, but how far reaching is that? And how much of that do you want to monetize your life? Maybe you're like, I want to be a farmer. I want to homestead. Go do that. I want to be a tech person. I want to build. Go do that. I want to be a book reader. I want to be a mom. Go do that. And there are ways to still capture that and share it, but it's going to look very different for each person depending on how much of your life you're willing to dedicate, how much you're willing to put out there. You have to prepare though. You have to show up. You have to do the work. And at least for your audience and your niche, you need to be providing something, whether it's a story or hours of research or optimization for that post to get there.
How do you balance? Because you don't live in LA, but you are going to be, hopefully. I'm bringing her on the video right now. How do you balance the core of your personal life and creation and being an esthetician and being all the things that we are? Because you do have a niche, but I think people think like I can only be one thing, and I'm afraid to just be that one thing, but I'm so multifaceted. And also balancing the different aspects of our lives. Like for me, as a mom, I don't have balance. I have integration as best as I can.
I love that. I was going to say, balance? Like, you think I have balance? Woo! So glad when it comes out that way.
Entrepreneurship? What balance?
What balance? I've got an on and off switch. And my on switch, I love what I do. I love people. I love this stuff. My off switch is when my body shuts down because I need food, water, or sleep. What is balance?
Right.
And that's why this isn't for everyone. And that's why you have to know what kind of influence you want. Because for some people, they want that balance. But at least for me, there is not. And that's why it's like, even as I'm trying to get back into the dating world after 8 years of being hurt and alone and not even bothering it, I was married to my business. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, my business is my primary partner. This is my industry. Am I going to have someone that integrates with that and uplifts and supports me, or that works in an adjacent industry and we can get along?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be a non-starter for me? I don't have balance. What I do have is something that I'm known for, something I'm niche for, and then all those other things that kind of circle around that I can tie in. And that's what makes you unique and me unique and every other person unique. You have your core thing that you need to stand by, project, that you know who and what you are, and you're sending it out as a beacon. But you're multifaceted. Of course, there's other parts of your personality. You need to just pull those in ways that they relate to that core thing and share it. Everyone has that. Everyone has multiple things. Don't be afraid to talk about them. And if one of those other core things is more interesting, inspiring, or you're more dedicated to it, let that become your new pillar. Yep. Don't be afraid to innovate. Don't be afraid to change, even if it hurts. We're constantly evolving. But balance... I'm going to be brutally honest with you as always. I don't think I have it. People tell me all the time, you take a vacation. And I'm like, if I were on vacation, I would still be working. I would still be working because I want to. Because I love what I do. I'm excited. I'd be calling Sarah. I'd be like, oh, I saw your new podcast. They're like, I post notifications from them. Don't take me away from my work and put me on a beach unless I'm filming sunscreen.
And I would still be filming content on said beach.
Because I want to. Yeah. And I think that's the difference between, do you want to just monetize, make money, put your feet up at the beach? Yeah. Or do you actually love what you do? You have a purpose, you have a passion. You're like, I'm going to take this amazing experience that I've been given and wrap it into what I'm excited about.
Let's talk about the business and influence. What have you learned in the last 15 years that is positive, and what has been the most challenging?
So much. I think if I were to distill it, it's that anyone can carve a space by themselves. Feels like an uphill battle, feels oversaturated. Truly, social media, the internet, the business of influence, there is a space and a niche for everybody. The weirdest things, the strangest things, the most hurtful things, the most positive things. Just because the way that Mark Rober experiences being a parent with autism is different than you, which is different than someone else. It's so empowering and so invigorating to see that in multiple ways. Every single person has a space because his story is different than yours, which is different than hers and hers and hers. And each of those can hit the different audience and resonate in a different way and make just as positive an impact. And then you asked about the most challenging parts. I think having to reflect on yourself. Again, growth hurts. Change hurts. Adopting new ideas, it hurts. Ow, shit hurts. You have to look at yourself. You have to look at the ugly parts. You have to look at your greeds, your fears, your desires, the kinks, the ugly things. And you need to give yourself compassion and grace to either work through that or accept it or embrace it. That is nice. If you're not willing to say you're sorry, if you're not willing to forgive, if you're not willing to forgive yourself, to try to learn new things, I am so different than who I was 5 years ago. I'm so different than who I was 15 years ago. I am so different than who I was yesterday.
Right.
And if we're not willing to let go of that, shed that skin, move on, we won't evolve. And we might feel confident being, ignorant and happy in our little shell.
Right.
But are we actually progressing and moving forward? And are we taking others with us? That's been the hardest thing.
It's not the response I expected.
What would you think? Most people say the criticism.
Yeah. But also I know you, so I knew that that wouldn't be your response because it's too expected.
Can I say, though, criticism is a gift.
No,
Feedback
it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish we were a little nicer with it.
Yeah.
Like, could it be constructive?
There's some assholes.
But you're not wrong about it. First of all, for engagement purposes, thank you. I appreciate you. I had a mentor tell me they're not haters, they're celebrators. They're just celebrating it a little differently.
They're not haters, they're elevators. They're watching your content. You are.
Right, they're
Commenting. And on top of that, when I look at comments, every negative comment used to hurt. My acne video where I stripped off all my makeup, showed my skin to try to help other young women understand how I got ready every morning. Someone said, imagine going to bed with a 10 and waking up with a 2. Someone who didn't feel worthy of being loved. That hurts so bad. It stuck with me still, right? Like that rejection. I'm not worthy of love because of the way I look. There's horrible comments out there. Nowadays, I'd laugh at it. It doesn't faze me because it's that person's opinion on what is or isn't attractive or what's worth going to bed with. In the dark, it doesn't matter what you look like. Are you a person that actually has sustenance and value and is worth waking up next to and feeling comfortable around?
Right.
And I think whenever I look at the negative comments, there still are some that hurt. But the other ones, first off, thank you for the feedback. I'm going to choose to accept it or not. The things that hurt, Sarah, those are such good compasses. Why did that hurt? Why did that comment about my body hurt? What do I believe is true about that comment? Because if I told you, Sarah, you're from Mars and you're bunny ears. You're like, cute. Doesn't matter. Just rolls off your shoulder because you don't believe it. But if I said something about your parenting style or your skin or something that you actually believe deep down, oh, it stings. So it's such a great compass when a comment hurts. That's something I have to go talk to my therapist about because what is it in me that actually believes that that criticism is true?
Yeah.
It's not that person. It's something that is my core belief. Right. And that gives me a little light, a little beacon that says, that's something I could work on.
It's interesting because we don't realize how psychological social media is.
I think the world is.
Very. And I think that we're also not honest with ourselves. And in addition to, because you're right, in addition to the negativity, one of the reasons why I wasn't expecting your comment from the previous question is because I've learned more about myself in this journey than I ever could have imagined. Yeah. Because it's required a different level or a different version of myself at each stage. That, would you believe if I told you in 2019, I refused and fought my team on speaking? I refused to speak in my stories when stories became a thing in 2019. I refused to do any speaking gigs. I hated the way my voice sounded. I didn't like the way that I looked. And it's not that I wasn't confident in how I looked in real life. I truly did not feel qualified to be in particular spaces. I didn't feel qualified to have a voice. And why would anyone care? And why would they want that perspective from me? And so it's fascinating even to watch my own journey and looking back at some of the old content and how much I've changed. And you talked earlier about curating your particular feed. Mine is very curated. I'm not seeing anything that's negative. I'm not seeing anything crazy. It's very specific to me, the things that are going to uplift me, educate me, or be entertaining to me. And so with my journey, there are things that even motherhood taught me that have made me a better influencer. There are things that being a good friend have taught me about being an influencer. The conversations amongst my girlfriends, the conversations that we're having, and the kind of content that I want to create and that I'm proud of. But also, and this is me being fully transparent, Like, let's say I see a beautiful girl and like something in me, like there's a twinge. I got to call my therapist and find out why was I jealous in that moment?
Why not celebrate her beauty? Why is her beauty?
Like, she's beautiful. Like, what was it? What was it in that moment that was like, oh, is this like, are we competing? No, that's not what we do. Is that, or feeling like, oh, I didn't belong. She's better than me. That is more a reflection of how I feel about myself than it is about this particular person. And so I think about how even, especially because the spaces that we're in is quite unique and exclusive than most people are used to, everyone around us is beautiful.
Beautiful, talented, gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, some of the most brilliant men and women were around. And we think, a lot of people think that if we reach that pinnacle, that, oh, I'd made it. But then you realize there's another level above that, which is how I got to equity. This is for the people who are influencers, you're a content creator, you're monetizing, you figured out kind of the business of how to get yourself to where you are. And we can also scale back and maybe talk about how to work with brands, but I feel happy to. Actually, let's talk about it. I'm got it. I figured it out. Cassandra, I feel purposeful. I know my why. I want to work with brands. I don't know how to cut through the noise to work like them. It's the one piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to work with a brand.
I would say know why you want the brand. What is the core reasoning? And then take that to the brand and pitch it. Why is it that you're so excited? Why are you passionate? Why do you love this thing? And what is your unique experience or perspective that you can turn into content or commercial or something else that allows you to share that even further?
It's interesting because I hate the fact that I keep using interesting. It's intriguing that people will say, oh, I want to work with, I'm not being sponsored, so I won't name a name, but I want to work with so-and-so brand, a CPG brand. What do you love about the brand? I don't know. Okay, what kind of content would you create for the brand? Well, I don't know. If you think that you're going to pitch a brand, you don't have a story to tell, something that will resonate with the brand, there's a value to give to the brand, but you just want to work with it, but it doesn't work.
And it goes back to, are you here just to monetize? You're here to do something, do you have a passion, do you have a purpose, doing a story thing. The money and the monetization is just a byproduct. There's so many brands that we won't work with. Vegan and cruelty-free, I'm not going to work with something that's not. And it's because it doesn't align with my core values. And I'm happy to talk about the products that are vegan and cruelty-free, that are great, and the ones that are shit. That's what makes my voice trusted and authentic, because I stick to her. If you don't stand for something, you stand in front of me. And brands see that. Where are they going to sign an NBA player, or an influencer, or a business person, or someone? It's because that person has an affinity to the brand. There is an association. And that association is powerful, and that brand can monetize it. Think about it. If I say Aloe Yoga, Lululemon, Nike, certain image pops into your mind, right? They did. Just if I say Home Goods and Betty Crocker and, Sherwin Williams, another image pops into your mind. Those associations are powerful. If you stand for nothing, can't sell anything. Right? If you stand for something, you're able to create associations with those brands that helps reflect. If I say Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Chanel, certain association comes to mind. So ask yourself, what are those brands that you love, and why do you love them? What do they reflect about who you currently are or who you want to be? And then how are you living that authentically? How would you create a commercial or an ad or a sponsored post for that brand? Or if you can't, do what you do, Sarah. Say, okay, I just like this brand. I have nothing to give. I have nothing that I could create a commercial around, but I want equity. Build your equity. Put money in, put time in, put expertise in on something that's needed, and monetize that instead. It allows you to still have that association, even if commercial creation or branded content creation isn't your exact area of expertise, and comes to you for that.
Correct. What I think about often is, and it's something you just said that I want to make sure I touch on. People don't realize when you're doing branded content, you're creating a commercial.
Or how to sell that and price it and make it work. One thing that I do with brands is it's been something we've done for 10 years. It's worked really well. A brand comes to us and lowballs us. They say, here's this brand of, what is this, a cactus. Here's this cactus. We want you to sell it. We will pay you $1,000. We'll pay you $10,000. Go back to them and say, how much would you pay for an ad on the front page of the New York Times?
With a reach thing was mine.
50,000 people. And how much would you pay for that? They say, oh, for 50,000 people, New York Times, we'd pay $25,000. So, okay. Well, that reaches 50,000 people. It happens for one day. We'll throw it away. And if they want to buy your cactus, they have to mentally make a note, take that information offline, go to a store, a physical location, an online location, purchase it. You don't even know if they purchased or not, or if they purchase it 3 months, 6 months later. We have a reach of not just 50,000, but 100,000 on these videos. Instead of just shoving it in someone's face on the front page, people are actually coming to watch this. And if they do purchase, there's a link right here that we can track and stick in Russian. Or are you offering us $1,000 and your times 20 my fast? And usually the only answer is the association, the prestige of it. So, okay. So you're telling me that that image is more important to you than the actual ROI, the actual impact. Got it. Okay. Otherwise, the brands say, oh, makes sense, let's go. But they're very depressed.
It's a great way to think about it because, again, we're talking about, we're not new media anymore. We are media. And one of the difficulties of the industry currently is the money's quite different. Like 2020, money was easy. 2021, the money was easy. 2018, money was easy.
Macroeconomics, are you up to date with the FOMC meetings? Again, it takes time, it takes work. People don't want to put in the work. But yes, money is different.
Money is so different. And the conversations that I have sometimes when the brand will say to me, oh, your prices are too high. How else are you going to, and to some conversation amongst us inside, or like, how else are you going to reach 4 million people every month?
And even if my price is too high, why? What does that say about your budgets? What does that say about your priorities, your values? And for the New York Times, they're very exclusive about who they're going to put on their front page. So am I with my YouTube channel and going to send your content. So are you. We're not just going to sit here and promote anyone. And a magazine or a New York Times, a newspaper that promotes anyone or promotes more risque content or promotes just anything, they're not going to have that reach. And if you're a magazine that specifically focuses, like Playboy, specifically focuses on this one niche, sure, you have a niche, you have an expertise, go for it. Yeah. That's them being fun of the New York Times. And that's why knowing your association, knowing what you stand for, knowing your value, and communicating it forward in a way that brands understand is so impactful. If a brand tells you you're too expensive, say, thank you, you're too cheap.
What if I'm a micro-filter? I think sometimes they don't understand the power. The engagement rate is so high on a micro or a nano. I'm like, oh, yes. But I'm like, girl, if you don't go pitch, go.
Nano influencers can still create UGC. Micro influencers, again, you could have a community of 1,000 people who are paying you $1,000. 1,000 people making $1,000. If you have the right niche, the right community, don't tell me that that's not valuable. You could have someone who has $2-5 million, but if they can only make a couple sales, it'll break. Again, money is not the same as reach. And I think people put them together because there are comorbidities, they're usually intertwined. But those are separate. And realize what value you have, how you can monetize it, how you want to monetize it. The reason that Chanel raises the prices of their bags every single year and charges an astronomical amount. I've purchased the Chanel. I don't think it's worth the money. It doesn't align with my core values and being vegan, equal to free. It's trash in my book. But the reason that works is because they're able to niche out that brand. And for the right user, for the right fashion girly, that's going to be the perfect bag. But for me, I have an Android bag. I'm not trying to name names, but I have a bag that's made out of cactus leather. I love it. And it's $250. But they're going to sell so well in a niche, vegan, fashion-forward, eco-friendly market. Yeah. Whereas the Chanel buyer is going to be completely different. They might not sell as many, but they have a different price point. Right. And when it comes to the business of influence, you have to understand, are you going to price yourself cheap and wide? You have to get mass adoption to make profit? Yeah. Or are you going to be luxury and exclusive? And you only need a couple people to make big money, even though people might not even know the name of your brand, the designer, the thing that you're wearing, using is the...
Yeah, that's my rope. I'm not making 50 pieces of content. Also, it's so inauthentic to my personal brain that if I was doing ad content, sponsored content on every... And I have girlfriends where that works for them. Like, 10 out of 10.
Girl. Get it.
Get your bread, sis.
Different niche.
But it does not work for my brand. So my prices are super high. So then I can do 2 or 3 pieces of content rather than having to do 20 brand deals in order to make sure that it makes sense for my audience. And also make sure the kind of one that I want to do, because I'm also honest with myself. And your audience and the people around you. Like, girl, I don't want to make 30 pieces of sponsored content in addition to my content. Mm-hmm. That's too much work for me. Mm-hmm. that's not realistic. Like I have this number in my head that I want to reach. Like I have my FU money. I know what that number
Say
is.
it. What is it? Tell me. What is FU money? What is FU? Say it.
So I used to think in my mind, I was like, if I get to 5 million, then I was like, no, 10 million. And then I was like, no, the way, and as my industry changed and as the people I'm around changed, as the equity changed, the acquisitions changed, and what I'm looking at in the world that I'm seeing now has changed. Then it was 25 million and 50 million, but then the way that I want to invest, have my own fund, and I was like, 100 million. And so now I'm like, all right, between 150 and 200. But I also had to think about why I wanted to get to that number was important.
And what are you going to do with that money once you get it? And if inflation happens, does that number even matter? Does it move? Does it change? Why?
And that's why also with inflation, I was like, girl, 50 million is not enough.
Girl.
I need 100. Because by the time I get to the 100, it's really going to be worth 30. So then I have more work to do. But I have to know the why. And the reality for me is the work that I want to do requires an extensive amount of resources. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I have come to accept that. I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm okay with that. And then I think about, even with my own evolution and how our industry has changed.
Mm-hmm.
What have you noticed in the industry and the goals that Cassandra had 5 years ago versus now with the changes?
So many differences in the goals. But if we bring it back to like fuck you money types of goals, I don't have fuck you money goals. I have fuck you moves goals.
Come on.
It's all about the moves and the impact, right? Who cares about the money? The money is just a form of energy or a form of permission or a form of access to get you to do the thing. But again, we can be petty or we can actually be philosophical and talk about the big things. If I'm going to be petty university, the FU money is buying the apartment of the person that rejected me and be like, oh, whose neighbors now? The FU move is my ex goes to bed and their partner watches my skincare content every day before bed on the TV. Like, that's the FU move. Like, if we're being petty, right? It's purchasing the country from the dictator who literally killed their citizens and giving them freedom and access to religion and education and feminine care products. And that's the FU move, right? And the money is just a way to get there. And when it comes to my personal goals and how those have changed, I've always known that I feel most fulfilled in making an impact in the world. And the way that I make that impact is going to change. And what that impact looks like is going to change. Yeah. And maybe it's not going to be a monetary number. Money is always helpful because it's a tool that allows you to get there. So many people, including me, grew up believing that money was evil. Money is the word. It's gas, the love, like things. It's amazing. It's a form of energy. Why is energy bad? It's a tool. It's something that allows us access to certain things. It's a tool. Yeah. Why is that bad? And why do we have this resistance to making money? I am a woman in business and I deserve to be paid for my time, my expertise, and my voice and my work. Why is that a bad thing? But the world wants us to believe that, right? So when it comes to my goals, yeah, money is great. I just want enough to be able to do the work that I need to and to empower other people to do the work that actually matters. And I think those goals, it's even become something of realizing that I'm just a vessel. Yes, I have this voice or this platform, but this is just a vessel to get a message across. Yeah. And if the day comes where that's not my face or that's not me, why do I care about being listened to or being famous? I don't. Right. The goal is XYZ. Right. Sure, it feels lovely to be listened to or to have an opportunity to connect with you, but I can do that without having it be broadcast. I can be cuddled, by a partner that I care about without having to, have that partner look a certain way, have a certain job, blah, 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 blah. And those are tough realizations because it kind of shifts the person that you thought you wanted to be with. And shifts the person that you thought you wanted to be in business. Yeah, but I think those goals are to make an impact that I can feel good about and to see other women that look like the girls that I grew up with seeing reflected in media and have us all feel empowered by the products that they use and buy brands that are cruelty-free, vegan, help the world, and support young, small businesses. Kind of goes back to what you were talking about. Comparison is a thief of joy. When another girl is successful, why does it hurt? We should celebrate her. My goals had changed because 10 years ago, I would have said I wanted to have a six-pack abs, I want to have clear skin, I want to look like this girl. I don't like her, I want to take her spot. I'm like, she's not my competition, baby. She's my coworker, right? We're going to do this together. A flower blooms without worrying about flowers being next to me. My goals have completely shifted. It's gone away from this, who am I, how much money can I make, how can I show up, to what is the impact? What is the lasting legacy? And I think this is something that was asked to me. It was probably one of the most profound moments, but what is it that you want written on your gravestone? That's what helped me figure out what my goals are.
Let's talk about one last thing, because I feel like this conversation go on for 80 hours.
With you, I'll talk to you forever, girl. I love the things you say.
Our industry has changed, and we're seeing it now with, given media, we just saw it with Alex Earl, and we're seeing more and more creators become acquired. We're seeing Mr. Beast build what he's building. We're seeing, is it Jake Paul, who's, building his thing? Is that his name?
Crime? Logan? Jake Logan. Yes. It's on it. Tell me whether it's out. You both do split.
Logan and Jake.
Yeah. Well, I actually, great quest. I should do my homework.
One of them. So, you have Jake, you have Paul. Almost 5 years ago, I was able to shift my entire business model and navigate my business differently because I realized I could ask for equity companies. And I do equity and money splits now. There wasn't anyone for me to ask. There was nowhere for me to go to become educated on the topic, which is why I started Influenced Equity. And we've had these conversations with, we're both in real estate, we're both getting equity in companies, and that has shifted so much. And I love the fact that as creators, we're openly having this conversation amongst ourselves, though. What do you believe that equity is, and how can we gain more of it?
Well, there's many types of equity: financial, business equity, social equity, etc. I see equity as a slice of the pie, and it's something that helps create equality. And think about it. Equality is not the same thing over and over. You have a fence, and there's a concert on the other side, and you want everyone to see. If you give everyone the same thing, an apple box to stand on, there's one person that's already tall, we can already see over the fence, he's going to be fine. There's one person in a wheelchair, you give them the same apple box, they still can't see. There's going to be a kid who maybe can see a little bit better, but his hearing is obstructed anyway. Equity is saying the tall person is fine, they just need more comfortable shoes. The person with the wheelchair needs a lift. The kid who's just right there needs something else. And that's what equity is. It's giving everyone a slice of the pie that allows them to be monetized in a social situation or financial situation to the point that their impact that they're creating is celebrated and reflected. At least that's the way that I see it. And like you said, Sarah, equity is something that I didn't think about till much later. It's one of those things I go back and I'm like, oh my God, if I would have known the 15 years, I would have done differently. But I wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for not knowing that 15 years ago. And like you said, a lot of the things I learned are from other creators, from YouTubers, from people like you, from other amazing people in the tech space. And so I'm grateful and, blessed enough to be between LA and New York and the Silicon Valley. But that's also why it's so important for each person to have their own network of influence and to put themselves out there. The women that are going to speak to me about female empowerment in these small circles, totally different than someone who's going to be talking in the Midwest or another country or have a different experience. And that's why every single person's voice matters. But I see equity as having a fair piece of the pie and then be compensated for that.
For the people that say we're just influencers, why would a peak deserve equity in companies, though? Don't you say about?
Do you have a company and no one knows about it? How are people going to buy it? There are builders, there are multipliers, right? Can't the best product or service in the entire world, but if no one knows about it, who cares? And you're just an influencer, but you have a positive or negative influence. That is far-reaching. And sure, if you don't believe in this value, go put your money and time and efforts on it. There is a value for every single thing, for every single niche. And it's just about pairing that influence, that actual value with that person who can receive it or consume it.
A friend of mine who was a guest on the first season of Influenced Equity, Emmanuel Archer, says the only person I talk to for free is God. Can we talk about why, as women, it is important stick to your right and stand on business?
And stand for your core values, please. And again, this is maybe a controversial thing to say. I think I heard this online somewhere. But, it's the idea that if you stand for nothing, then anything goes. If you stand for something, you're selected with everything. And again, this is going to be very controversial. This is not meant to bash others. This is not meant to put judgment onto others. This is just a quote that I heard that at this point in my life was resonating with me. But as someone who's vegan and cruelty-free, I consume the in-food because I believe it's better for the animals and for the environment. As someone who believes in having relationships that are fulfilling and that build together. I'm interested in monogamy with my partner. There was a quote that was something like, if you're willing to, I'd rather sit with no one than just anyone.
Exactly.
I'd rather eat nothing than just everything.
Yeah.
And again, that's a huge generalization. It's not meant to be, I better than you, you're better than me, this is better than that. It's just, are you willing to promote anything? Are you willing to put out nothing?
Yeah.
Are you willing to say anything? Are you willing to say bye? And I think having that distinction of what's right for you is so different than what's right for others. And that's why you're not out there trying to find your audience. You stand for what you believe in, you say what you believe in, and your audience will find you. And what's right for you is not right for someone else. And that's why there's a space for each one of us.
Right.
And those differences. Right. And even talking about those differences should not be celebrated.
Yeah.
If someone believes differently than me, someone has a different relationship than me or a different diet than me, if someone's a carnivore, celebrate it. Don't judge me for eating my broccoli. I won't judge you for eating your bacon. I grew up on bacon. Enjoy beef. I'm a vegan, but we don't have beef.
All right. Hey, I see what you did there, which is true because I am a carnivore. And we have the most beautiful friendship. Cassandra, on a closing note, what is the piece of advice you'd give to any creator who is trying to navigate this space and wants more?
The advice I would give to any creator who's trying to navigate this space and wants more is that drive is important. That drive is good, but the why is more important. Because the why is the fuel for that drive. So, Simon Sinek's why. Why does it matter to you? Why will this matter in 5 years? If it matters to you, why does it matter to the others that are your audience that haven't met you yet?
Oh, that was good. Cassandra, thank you so much for being here. How can people find you?
The internet. Cassandra Bankson across all socials. It's like advice you give to your child. Put your money in the bank, son. Cassandra Bankson.
That was good. I see what you did.
Seriously, I didn't know it, Sarah.
Thank you so much for being here. And you all, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you next week on another episode of Influence Diary.
And make sure that you follow Sarah across her other socials because what she posts on the podcast is different from the gems she sprinkles out.
Get yourself friends who will promote you on your own podcast when you forget.
She's a powerhouse. I love you, Sarah. Thank you so much for the honor of having me on.
We might actually have to do a third part because that was fire.
All right.
Let's do it.
Fire.
Let's do it, girl. Amazing.